What up, guys? Back again with another UFC Fight Picks video on the UFC Fight Night card, JACARE versus Brunson 2. Let's go ahead and get started here with the Fight Pass prelims. First fight of the night, we got Austin Arnett versus Corey Sandhagen. So I'm going to go ahead and take Corey Sandhagen on this one. I think this is going to be a stand-up fight, and I just think he's the more better technical striker. We saw Austin Arnett fight in the Dana White show. You know, he seems tough, but I'm gonna go ahead and just go with the more technical fighter. So we look at Corey's page here. You see, first of all, 7-1 record, very good. And then you also see that, first of all, well, he got the world kickboxing title for I guess it's amateur North American. Oh, actually, no, that's something else. Anyways. Undefeated kickboxer, and down here you see, there it is right there, WKA World Kickboxing Champ. He also has a brown belt, so, you know, in jiu-jitsu. So obviously this guy's not just a striker, he's well-rounded. And then you look at Austin Arnett. I mean, we know he lost his last fight to Brandon Davis, and Davis just lost his last fight to, who was it again? I picked Brandon Davis in that fight too, actually. Yeah, he lost to Kyle Bochniak, a guy that's not even that great. He looked good. He was using a lot of footwork and counter-striking. Brandon Davis couldn't even touch that guy. And Austin Arnett lost to Brandon Davis. He got pieced up. So, yeah, I just feel like this guy, he's more like of a brawler style, where I feel as Corey's more technical. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the more technical striker, which is Corey Sandhagen here. So I'll take Sandhagen to win, probably by decision, since Arnett seems like a tough guy, pretty durable. So Sandhagen by decision. All right, next fight, featured fight on the Fight Pass prelims. You got Niko Price versus George Sullivan. I'm gonna go ahead and take Niko Price. He's not the best fighter, as we've seen in his last fight where he lost against Vicente Luque. You could beat this guy. Everybody was hyping this guy up. Because he has power and whatnot, but you know, you could beat him. You just gotta be more technical and whatnot. But the guy he's facing right here, George Sullivan, this guy is coming off, I think, a pretty decent layoff, and he's had problems with USADA, so I don't know what kind of version we're gonna get out of him. Plus, he's 36 years old, so this guy is on his way out. And his last fight, he also got knocked out in the first round. So yeah, his last fight was actually 2 years ago. So, you know, it's been a while. So I expect Price here to come and you know, try to rebound from that loss and probably get another knockout here. So I'll take Niko Price by second round knockout. All right, now for the FS1 prelims, you got Vince Pichel versus Joaquim Silva. Two strikers, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that Pichel also mixes it up with the wrestling, which is why I'm going to take Pichel on this one. The odds are dead even, so I mean, you could tell it's an even fight. But I just feel like Pichel has that wrestling advantage, and I feel like if he's losing the stand-up, he'll utilize the wrestling. He has very high takedown average and very high takedown accuracy, man. Almost 70% takedown accuracy. That's pretty good. So I expect him to you know, use that wrestling if his striking and his power isn't affecting Joaquim Silva. So I'll take Pichel to get to win this fight. I'm gonna go ahead and just say second round knockout, because this guy's always getting finishes. All right, next fight, Justine Kish versus Ji Yuan Kim. So Kish is a big favorite, almost 3-1. And this fight's gonna be at 125 pounds. Ji Yuan Kim, I think she was fighting her last fight was at 135. Let me see, against Lucy Pudilova. Yeah, so her last fight was at 135. Now she's dropping down a weight class, Ji Yeon Kim, and Justine Kish is coming up a weight class from strawweight. So there's going to be a bit of a size difference here. As you can see, Ji Yeon Kim has a huge reach advantage, which you don't really see in, well, women's MMA usually. Especially in the UFC, I don't really see this much of a difference. 8 inches of, you know, reach right there for Yeon Kim. So yeah, Kim has a huge reach advantage here, and she has good striking, and I feel like she's gonna be able to utilize that reach in this fight and be able to outstrike Quiche on the feet. So yeah, I don't like Quiche in this matchup. I haven't been too impressed with her at all. She seems okay, and I'm not saying Kim's the best fighter here, but at those odds, plus 325, you know, she's a sleeper here, and I think she can get it done with her striking, especially since she's coming down a weight class. She's gonna be the bigger, stronger fighter, and she also has that reach. So yeah, I feel like her striking is gonna win her the fight. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick Kim to win this fight by decision. Next fight, we got Randa Markos versus Juliana Lima. Both these girls really ain't that great. You got Markos ranked 11th. Let me go ahead and check out the recent fights here. Markos is coming off a loss to Alexa Grasso. Before that, she actually beat Carla Esparza in a split decision win. That was in Canada also, so you could say maybe Esparza should have won that fight. Yeah. Juliana Lima, her last fight was against Tisha Torres. She lost in the second round by submission. It was actually Tisha Torres' first finish ever in her MMA career. Before that, Lima beats JJ Aldrich, who's a pretty, I would say a decent strawweight fighter. So yeah, both these girls ain't really too impressive. So I'm just going to go ahead and go with the underdog on this one, Juliana Lima. She's plus 127. I feel like her takedown defense is pretty decent, and I feel like she'll be able to stuff Markos' takedowns and keep it on the feet. And on the feet, I just feel like Lima here is the better striker. Markos has been improving her boxing, but I don't think she's the better striker here. The only thing that sucks is that Juliana Lima doesn't have very good output or volume. She only lands 2 strikes landed per minute compared to Markos' 3 strikes per minute. So if Lima doesn't stay busy on the feet, you could see maybe the judges maybe favoring Markos, repetitive takedown attempts and her having more strikes landed, and maybe they'll give her the fight for that. But yeah, I just think Lima here should be able to win the fight as long as she just, stops the takedowns and outstrikes Markos on the feet, which she can do. So I'll take Lima by decision. All right, next fight, another women's fight here. We got Caitlin Chukagian versus Mara Romero Barella. So I'm not too familiar with Barella here. I know she won her UFC debut. We got Caitlin Chukagian here. I want to say, I think she was fighting at 135, right? Yeah, she last fought at 135, and she fought against Irene Aldana, and she actually won that fight by split decision. So she's coming off a split decision win. Her first loss was against Liz Carmouche, where Carmouche took her down, and it was a split decision loss. So a lot of people say Chukagian's kind of like the bum version of Holly Holm, and I'd have to agree on that. She is pretty much kind of like a bum version of Holly Holm. So I mean, could Mara actually win this fight? I mean, she has the takedown, she has the ground game. We know Carmouche was able to beat Chukagian with the ground game, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that Barella has a path to victory here. So she can win this fight, but I think Chukagian coming down a weight class is gonna benefit her here in this fight. She might be a lot stronger than the other girls, so I'm gonna go ahead and just pick Chukagian on this one. Plus, we've seen more of her in the UFC compared to Mara, where she only has a quick finish in the first round. So if Mara finishes Chukagian, it's gonna be an impressive win. But I'm gonna go ahead and stick with Chukagian on this one. So I'll take Chukagian here to win by decision. All right, guys. Now we're on to the next fight. We got Mirsad Bektik versus Godofredo Pepe. So a very easy fight to pick. Obviously, Bektik, huge favorite, 6-1 favorite, plus 450 for Pepe. I'm taking Bektik all day. He's coming off, obviously, that very disappointing loss to Darren Elkins, a fight which he was winning. He smashed them the first 2 rounds. Elkins was beat up. The thing is that Elkins is just extremely durable, man. Elkins was able to take the damage, which is obviously why they call him the damage. And he was able to come back, and he got a 3rd round finish over you know, one of the best prospects at 145 in Mirsad Bektik. And Bektik was a huge favorite in that fight also. I think like probably 4 or 5 to 1. So yeah, it was a big win for Darren Elkins. And yeah, I mean, Bektik here, you know, just because he's coming off that loss doesn't mean he sucks. Obviously now he's going to be looking more to improve in his fights. And yeah, I just feel like this guy's the complete package, man. He has really good striking, good finisher, and excellent, you know, excellent wrestling and takedowns. So Bektik could do it all. All he has to do is just stay away from Pepe's submission attempts on the feet. I still think Bektik will probably be better, but I think more than likely Bektik is going to take this guy to the ground, just beat him up on the ground. Probably looking at a second or third round knockout here. So I'm going to take Bektik, and more than likely I think this guy's going to get a finish here, unless he just feels like, you know, dominating and controlling his opponent in Pepe. But yeah, I'll take Bektik. I'm going to go ahead and just say second round knockout. Alright guys, now we're on to the featured fight on the FS1 prelims. We got Erik Koch versus Bobby Green. Open up their pages here real quick. I think Koch here is coming off a loss to Clay Guida, and Bobby Green is also, I think he's coming off a loss to Venata, or I think that was a split decision win for him, or I think that was a draw. I gotta check right now. Yes, as you guys can see right there, Guida got 2 takedowns on Erik Koch, controlled him a lot on the ground. Yeah, Koch's weakness obviously is the wrestling. If you could take this guy down, it seems like more than likely you're going to be able to win the fight. But, I mean, other than that, Koch's pretty solid on the feet, very good striking. But Clay Guida was just too much for him with the ground game. Bobby Green, not really a wrestler. He's more of a boxer. As you guys can see, damn, he was on a long losing streak here. And that fight was actually a draw, so I mean, Venata did some damage. He had the better stats here in the fight, but it was still a draw pretty much. So yeah, I mean, Bobby Green, you know, he's been getting his ass whipped for a while now, man. Look at that. As you guys can see before, he was actually looking very impressive. He had a nice win streak going on here, and then he just started getting his ass whooped. So, I mean, Bobby Green, you could beat him up. He has good striking, good boxing, I mean. But I think Koch here is going to be, you know, the better fighter. I think he's overall the better striker because he uses the kicks. So I feel this is going to be a stand-up fight. But like I said, both these guys don't really wrestle. Bobby Green's not a wrestler. And you also, for some reason, you got Bobby Green as a favorite here. And I feel like that's a mistake. I think Erik Koch here is going to be able to win the fight. He's going to be able to outstrike Bobby Green on the feet. You never know. Maybe he could get a finish here. If not, Koch's probably going to win by decision. So I'll take Erik Koch by decision. Alright guys, now we're on to the main card. For Fox, we got Drew Dober versus Frank Camacho. Both these guys fought very recently. And according to this fight's at 155. Drew Dober, I think, was fighting at 170 for a moment. Let me just load up their pages here. Yeah, his last fight was against Joshua Berkman. Whatever, he knocked him out in the first round. Berkman's kind of a bum now. His last loss was to Aubin Mercier. He got tapped out in the second round. That guy's a good grappler. Camacho's coming off a win against Damian Brown. It was kind of like a war. Both these guys had their moments, but Camacho obviously won the fight. Before that, this guy loses to Li Jingliang. So the odds, I'm pretty sure they got Dober as a favorite here. Yeah, Dober negative 155. I'm gonna have to go ahead and go with the odds on this one. I think Dober is gonna be able to win this fight. I feel like he's the more technical striker. Camacho got good power. Drew Dober also has some deceptive power. Doesn't really look like he knocks people out, but if you look at his last win, he has a knockout. Actually, his last 2 wins, he has 2 first-round knockouts. So, you know, he does have some power. Both these guys don't really wrestle too much, so I can't really see this fight playing out too much on the ground. Both of their takedown defenses are similar. I think it's just going to be kind of a stand-up fight, and I'm going to favor the more technical fighter and more well-conditioned fighter in Drew Dober. So I'll take Dober. to more than likely win this fight by decision, unless he gets like a quick knockout. All right, next fight, Ronaldo versus Gregor Gillespie. So a lot of people are very high on Gregor Gillespie, and I mean, from what I've seen, he's pretty impressive. He's another huge favorite, just like Bektik is, -600. So I'm going to go ahead and take Gillespie on this one, obviously. The few times I think I've seen Ronaldo, he hasn't looked impressive. He is a grappler also. He did get a first-round submission win against Alvaro Herrera, but I mean, who is that? And before that, he loses to Trujillo, which obviously no shame in that. Trujillo is very good. But yeah, I think Gillespie here is just going to be able to beat him up on the ground. Really good wrestling. He actually has very, very high-level wrestling. So he's for sure the better grappler here of the two. And I also think he's the better striker. So I'm going to go ahead and take Gregor. He's a very safe pick. And I'm going to go ahead and say he'll probably get a third-round finish. So third-round knockout. Alright, now we're on to the co-main event, Bermudez versus Andre Fili. So it's a tough fight to pick because you would think the striking advantage goes to Fili. He's the longer, rangier fighter. I would say he does probably have the striking advantage. But then you got Bermudez, who has that wrestling advantage. So it's kind of like a grappler versus striker matchup, except it really ain't, because both these guys obviously are well-rounded. Bermudez primarily, likes to wrestle, though. He has some decent striking, but he'll strike too much, though, in his fights, where he should really be using that wrestling. So it kind of depends how Bermudez looks in this fight. I think he's on a 2-fight losing streak right now. He was up there in the rankings for a moment, but I mean, now he's been losing fights, so obviously now he's at number 12. Yeah, 2-fight losing streak right now. His last fight, he lost split decision to Darren Elkins. Elkins just outgrinded him. That's kind of disappointing because I thought Bermudez would be the better fighter in that matchup, but Elkins was just able to outgrind him. And then before that, he gets knocked out by Korean Zombie. So Bermudez, he can get knocked out. His chin seems a little suspect that time, so it's kind of I guess worrisome to kind of pick him sometimes. And then you got Andre Fili, who he's not that great. He is coming off a win against Lobov, but Lobov's kind of a bum. Before that, he loses to Calvin Kattar, who actually looked pretty good in his last fight. Hakran Diaz, I guess that guy's all right. Obviously loses against Rodriguez. So I just think like Bermudez is probably the better fighter here, but you never know. Like I said, how he's going to come out in this fight. But you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and stick with Bermudez on this pick. Fili, yeah, just got to pick against him, man. He's not that impressive, and I feel like Bermudez is going to have to bounce back from those losses, so he's going to come in here way more hungry. So I'll take Bermudez to win by decision. All right, next fight we got JACARE versus Derek Brunson. So these guys fought before. JACARE won the first matchup. Now, obviously, JACARE is older, took some damage against Whitaker, and now we're doing the fight again. Brunson's coming off, I think, a knockout against Machida. So it just kind of depends how this fight plays out. But you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and stick with JACARE. He's a very slight favorite. I just feel like JACARE is still the more well-rounded fighter. I think their stand-up is very similar, but I feel like JACARE has probably the edge in the stand-up, even though Brunson has more power. And obviously on the ground with the grappling, I'd say JACARE has the biggest advantage. Just, really good jiu-jitsu. Brunson obviously a really good wrestler, so he's not going to want to take it to the ground. And also Brunson has some really good takedown defense, 100%. So it's going to be hard for JACARE to take him down. But I still feel like on the feet, he'll be able to at least take a good shot and then maybe find his way to the ground where he could, out-grapple Derek Brunson and get a submission. So yeah, I think Souza here wins the fight on the feet. I think he's a little bit more better technically on the feet, and also just has that submission advantage. So yeah, those are gonna be big factors. That submission advantage and him just being a little bit better on the feet, even though Brunson has that explosive power in his hands. I mean, that's all he really has. I mean, he's not gonna be able to wrestle in this fight. he's not gonna want to wrestle. So Brunson just looking for that quick kill shot, and I feel like JACARE has more options to win the fight. So I'll take JACARE. And the odds, I mean, they're almost even here. So I mean, it's almost an even fight here, just because JACARE is coming off that loss and Brunson's on fire right now. But yeah, I'll take JACARE to win. I'm gonna go ahead and just say he'll eventually somehow get Brunson on his back or on the ground, and JACARE gets a submission. So I'll take JACARE second round submission. But you know, I wouldn't be surprised if JACARE also knocked out Derek Brunson, man. You know, you could knock out Derek Brunson, and he's done it before. So yeah, that's all I gotta say, guys. Let me just give you guys my top 3 most confident picks, and it's obviously gonna be the biggest favorites here. So Bektik is my number 1, Gillespie my number 2, and my next most confident pick would have to be, you know, I want to say Niko Price, but it's hard to be, you know, I guess very confident in him. So I don't know, man. You know what? Yeah, I'll take Niko Price. So those are my top 3 most confident picks. I picked a lot of favorites on this card, but I also got some underdogs like Kim and Lima, and I think who else is an underdog, and Erik Koch. So I think one of those for sure is gonna hit. We'll see if I'm lucky and I get all of them right, but we'll have to find out. So yeah, I guess my least confident pick would have to be Bermudez, because if Fili comes out looking good, he could knock him out. So that's my most least confident pick. But yeah, guys, that about does it for me for these picks. Please subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers to keep my YouTube partner program going. So please subscribe if you're a new viewer. I do these UFC fight pick videos every single time there's a UFC card. So subscribe. And what else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, thanks for the support anyway, for whoever's watching the video. And yeah, catch you guys on the next video, and enjoy the fights.